Today we'll be talking about the future of brick and mortar retail in an age of artificial intelligence. We'll first look at the current changes facing the brick and mortar retail sector, and then dive into how in this day and age, physical retail stores are adopting a new purpose, which is not just to sell things on the spot, but to build customer relationships and gather data which can be used to power the artificial intelligence algorithms of the future. We'll then close out by looking at how artificial intelligence can blend online and offline data to create new points of sale in more personalized ways. I don't think it's a surprise to any of us at this point to hear that brick and mortar retail has been struggling. We've seen bankruptcies multiply over the past few years, particularly among mid-priced, mall-based apparel and accessories retailers. And apart from bankruptcies, we're seeing thousands of store closures across the country as companies struggle and also pull back on their brick and mortar retail footprints in order to focus more heavily on e-commerce, as for example, Adidas and Kenneth Cole have both done over the past few months. And this contraction of brick and mortar retail footprints is likely to continue, especially since the U.S. today has more retail floor space per capita than any other country in the world by far. So with this sort of bloating of store space, we're likely to see further contractions, a sort of evening out over time. But this is not to say that brick and mortar retail is dead. Rather, as Lisa Landsman, the former president of Jet.com, very wisely put it, it's pure play retail that's dead. Companies need to be operating both online and offline, as well as in some new channels that we'll discuss later on in the presentation. This helps retailers reach customers where they are, rather than pulling customers towards specific channels or specific modes of purchasing. And we do see this already. For example, while traditional retailers are closing stores, we know startups that traditionally were online only, like Warby Parker, Casper, Allbirds, are now beginning to open their own stores. So we may see this kind of meeting in the middle as retailers, as smart retailers become more and more balanced between their online and offline presences. And throughout this blending of online and offline activity, artificial intelligence is going to be omnipresent. We know that AI is hot. According to CB Insights data, AI startups have raised over $40 billion globally since 2012, including nearly $16 billion last year alone. Just to illustrate some of this momentum, feel free to check out our CB Insights list of the AI 100 startups, or the 100 highest momentum AI startups around the world. But it's important to remember that AI is not a silver bullet. AI is a tool for analysis, and artificial intelligence algorithms require huge sets of data to train on, to optimize those algorithms over time, and then to actually turn that data into insights. AI can't produce insights for retailers in a vacuum. So when we look at who is going to win the retail store wars of the future, it's going to be the companies that have the most data they can feed into their artificial intelligence algorithms to better understand their consumers, focus more on automation and other use cases. And in these data collecting wars, brick and mortar stores can become valuable foot soldiers. Brick and mortar stores are going to prioritize customer data collection more and more. But at the same time, as we just said, brick and mortar footprints are shrinking. Therefore, retailers can start to think about judging brick and mortar stores by the amounts of data they collect. So taking a step back, sales per square foot is a metric that retailers have historically used, but it's getting harder and harder to judge sales per square foot in any real meaningful sense, since so many customer journeys today start online before purchasing in-store, or vice versa. And even further, as we think of pop-up stores, experiential retail, and trends like that are to some extent transforming the sector, the focus is less and less on immediate sales and more on relationship building, so sales per square foot doesn't even necessarily apply. Instead, retailers can start to think about data per square foot, or the density of real meaningful data they're collecting from their shoppers in brick and mortar retail stores, in pop-ups, in temporary branded experiences that they host. So now let's take a look at how some startups and new technologies are helping retailers increase their data collected per square foot. The important thing to remember throughout all of these new data gathering methodologies and startups is that they focus on direct observation of customer behavior. They don't ask shoppers, for example, whether they tend to eat healthy. They instead observe that shopper buying that frozen pizza at 3 a.m. in the grocery store aisle. So here machine vision can come into play. For example, Trax Retail is a major player here with $147 million in funding. Trax works with Coca-Cola, Henkel, and other major brands to help them analyze the in-store activity of shoppers as well as keep better track of the in-store displays of their products and turn those observations into real meaningful insights from brick and mortar retail stores. We also see AI being used to capture online and offline purchasing data and then use that to optimize prices in real time. For example, AI startup Eversight, which does focus on real-time pricing and promotion adaptations, recently partnered with Altair, an Internet of Things startup that attaches tags to products and shelves and shopping carts in stores to gather that data on what shoppers are actually doing in the stores in real time, feed that into Eversight's algorithms to support more personalized, more adaptive pricing models. We also see data gathering technologies that are somewhat of a Trojan horse hidden inside other technologies that actually interact with the consumer. For example, robots. We see here the Pepper robot, which has been launched by SoftBank. It's about 4 feet tall, looks endearing, and is the height of a child, and has already been installed at over 10,000 venues around the world. So these robots are, I'd say, fairly gimmicky in the short term. They attract foot traffic just for the novelty effect. They can also answer simple questions about directions or where to find specific products in the store for shoppers. But what these robots are doing at the same time is collecting visual data on every shopper that walks in the doorway of a store, data that would otherwise have been lost that no human store associate could ever possibly remember. So this does open up new ways for retailers to better understand their shopper demographics, even shopper style preferences, shopper emotional tone when they enter the store, and more. And more behind the scenes, Walmart and other retailers have begun to roll out robots to automate stocking shelves and other more manual tasks. So while they perform these tasks in the immediate term to kind of boost ROI right away, these robots are also monitoring shopper activity and product performance in real time throughout the stores. But the more upfront retailers are about collecting data from shoppers, for example, these robots are pretty hard to miss, retailers need to pay shoppers in some way for that data, for example, by offering a better experience in return. So Perch Interactive is one startup that sums up that trade-off very well. Perch produces digital interactive tablets installed in Sephora, Neiman Marcus, Levi's, and other stores that pays shoppers with an improved experience by teaching them about the product, offering them fun, interactive games or virtual try-on capabilities for makeup, as in Sephora. But at the same time, they're collecting data that traditional product displays can't capture about which products the shopper picks up, puts back, ultimately purchases, and more. So Perch makes this hardware platform, but a different startup called Motiface makes the software powering a lot of these interactive platforms. Motiface is an augmented reality platform for virtual makeup try-ons so that companies like Sephora can let visitors and mobile app users try on different looks virtually. Motiface was actually recently acquired by L'Oreal, so it's to be seen how their partnership with Sephora will develop going forward. But this is another great example of paying a shopper in better experience. So here, this is a kind of fun, entertaining way to try on new looks, get a virtual makeup tutorial, but at the same time is collecting huge amounts of data about which products shoppers try on, which products they pair together, which products people of different complexions tend to gravitate toward, etc., that can help Sephora not only better understand their customer habits, but even maybe give some ideas to their design and marketing teams about how to shape and market their products going forward. In China, this sort of facial recognition technology is much farther along, with major players like Face++, which has raised over $600 million from Foxconn and others, and SenseTime, which has raised a whopping $1 billion. So these startups do offer better experiences to shoppers in terms of offering fun, interactive photo editing tools based on facial recognition, but also are collecting so much data about people's visual appearances and interactions with these apps. And as sort of a concrete example of the benefit data trade-off, Alibaba recently partnered with the startup Face++ to offer a pay-by-face platform. They're piloting this in select KFC locations in southern China right now. And the way this works is that shoppers that are already set up with an Alipay mobile payment account can simply look into a screen and smile, and Face++'s technology will register their face and automatically charge their Alipay account. So again, this is a much more streamlined, quicker checkout experience for the shopper, but is also collecting visual data on shopper demographics, shopper emotional moods within the store, etc. And this even gets into territory that I think some of us would find a bit nerve-wracking. For example, Face++ also recently released a product that can give users beauty scores. As we see on the right here, they say these could be used to potentially match people on dating sites, as well as make makeup recommendations and things like that. So this may be a little dystopian, but we can see this is just one example of the types of data that AI can provide to retailers based on physical human retail interactions. When we start to bring online and all this data that IoT and AI platforms have gathered from in-person physical interactions, and then start to blend that with shoppers' activity online, we can imagine some really interesting ways that retailers can connect with consumers in the future. For example, integrating the store or the point of sale into the home itself. We're already beginning to see examples of startups helping consumer packaged goods brands move their actual point of sale into the home, and operating by allowing people to grab specific items and then go while automating the payments through mobile. So these companies use data they've collected from shoppers' offline and online activity to predict what people in certain apartment complexes or office buildings or university campuses will want at what frequency, and then stock these kind of smarter vending machines with those products to support more easy purchasing habits. This even includes WeLive, which is the co-living space operated by WeWork in Manhattan. Stocks, as we can see on the right, toilet paper, detergent, things like that in the lobby of their apartment building, and lets inhabitants of the building pay by mobile app. So kind of closing this data sales cycle wherein the company is using data they've already collected to predict what shoppers will want, but then collecting data on actual purchasing habits by pushing people to check out by mobile, where all purchases and interactions can be recorded. We're also beginning already to see how smart homes can support e-commerce delivery of products. Amazon's recent $1.2 billion acquisition of Ring, which was a prominent smart home, connected home security startup, can support grocery delivery by, for example, Ring users being able to sync their Amazon purchases with Ring's system and then automatically let in Amazon delivery people into their house while they're being monitored by Ring's security cameras to even unload their Amazon groceries into the refrigerator without the shopper having to be home. Walmart has also considered similar strategies, both by partnering with August, another smart lock startup, somewhat comparable to Ring, and also applying for a patent on a method that would let the e-commerce package itself, unlock a smart home so that people could allow Walmart delivery people to enter their home, drop off the package inside, and then leave while knowing that that delivery person is being monitored by security cameras and by the connected package. Looking forward, smart home technology can also boost actual sales, for example, through voice commerce. As the chief digital officer of L'Oreal recently commented, voice has the potential to be as big as the entire internet, just a completely different interface and a changing way of how we consider the way things are bought. Are voice orders e-commerce? Are they brick and mortar commerce? It doesn't really matter. What matters is that this is a new way for brands to connect to consumers in a way that's convenient for the consumer and to make purchasing as easy as possible. Already, roughly 1 in 6 Americans own a smart speaker in a market pretty dominated by Amazon Alexa. And this does open up new sales options for consumer packaged goods brands to kind of make sure that their brand is being highlighted through these smart speakers, and also allows the smart speaker companies themselves to collect new data on the shoppers, which they may or may not be willing to share with the retailer or CPG brand. And just to highlight the sheer amount of data that some of these companies are imagining smart speakers and smart home technology could begin to collect, we can look at one of Amazon's recent patent filings, which discussed an enhancement for the Amazon Show, an already launched product that we can see on the left. But in the patent filing, Amazon proposed that these sort of connected visual screens could capture data not only on shopper interactions with the device, but also on shoppers' facial expressions, the way they move around the house, the mood, the emotion they have while interacting with different people or different products around their house. So it's very detailed data collection here, but data that can also help brands both design new products, reshape marketing strategies for existing products, and also target the shopper at home with the most kind of personalized product suggestions they can. We're also seeing major retailers, even retailers as large as Walmart, start to prepare for a world in which smart homes are significantly reducing in brick and mortar retail visits because it's so easy to just buy things through your smart home itself. So Walmart, for example, has, in its patent activity, has looked at a smart trash can that could sense when people throw out the wrapper of a good that's used up and then automatically place an order for a refill. So this is taking any shopper, the need for any shopper activity or shopper sort of proactive purchasing initiative out of the equation and just automatically predicting what the shopper will want based on data collected through the smart home and then making sure the shopper has that in a way that's as easy as possible. Procter & Gamble has also looked to patent connected Internet of Things tags that could attach to certain products, sense when those products are used up, and automatically place orders for refills. But all these futuristic automated purchasing options do rely on a fully built out internet payments, mobile payments ecosystem. So here again, we can see that line between physical retail and online retail blending even further. If you buy something through a smart home, but your online account gets charged, where does that sale count? It's an interesting question, and we can see how these internet mobile digital payment platforms can support new methods of offline commerce. Beyond smart homes, we're also seeing the rise of fully automated stores, such as the Amazon Go store that opened a few months ago in Seattle. This store uses machine vision to track shoppers as they pick up products, put products back on the shelves, and then charges their Amazon payment account on their mobile phone automatically as that shopper just walks out of the store. So this removes the need for any cash registers or cashiers, and lets people just go into the store, grab what they want, and simply walk out. In China, where the mobile payment ecosystem is even more widespread than it is in America, these models have already begun to catch on. For example, we see startups like Xiaomai, Bingo Box, and the F5 Future Store launching small, modular, fully automated, human-free stores. These stores don't even let you enter unless you have a mobile payments account set up, mainly WePay or Alipay, and they require users to scan the mobile payment account on their phone to even enter the store, then monitors them as they walk throughout the store, pick up products, and make sure they scan their phone again to pay through their mobile payment account and check out before leaving the store. So it's interesting how, again, these digital payment options are enabling new models of brick and mortar retail. And by pushing people toward mobile payments, retailers can ensure they know exactly who's coming into their store and who's buying what at any given moment. This brings in even more data that can help retailers adapt their supply chains further back and be more prepared to deliver things to the right people at the right times. We're beginning to see startups like Common Sense Robotics, based in Israel, and Dark Store, based in the U.S., replace some brick and mortar stores altogether with delivery-only stores. So these are small, potentially human-free zones that don't have stores that store inventory but don't have a front end to greet shoppers. They're only there to fulfill online orders very quickly. And as retailers get more and more adept at predicting who will want what, when, and where, they can start to rely more on these fully automated supply and delivery chains to just to stock the right goods on the back end and make sure they have adequate delivery people at the right times and get that to the consumer. This is a process that will be just improved and made more and more streamlined the more data retailers are able to collect. These delivery-only stores can link with autonomous vehicles that can deliver the products right to the consumer's door. Now, as retailers gather more and more data, and artificial intelligence to analyze that data helps them get more and more predictive. Amazon, of course, shows us a way this could ultimately play out. Amazon applied for a patent for a flying warehouse. We've talked about this patent before at CB Insights, which would store goods that AI potentially predicts that people in a given town or neighborhood will want at a given time, and then can fly that warehouse to that neighborhood at that specific time to support very quick, instantaneous drone delivery, drone fulfillment of online orders. And meanwhile, of course, the more convenient the shopping experience is for people, the more they'll use it, the more data they'll be willing to give up to Amazon in exchange for the speed and convenience. So we can see how the gathering of data on online and offline consumer habits combined with artificial intelligence algorithms can create this fully adaptive, flexible model of retail. We've been through a lot of information today, so if I can leave you with just a few key takeaways, they would be that, first of all, the use cases for brick and mortar stores are shifting away from short-term immediate sales to more hosting experiences, engaging shoppers to build long-term brand relationships, and also collecting data. So we can start to shift the way we judge success potentially of some retail stores from sales per square foot to a data per square foot model. It's also important when thinking about the growth of artificial intelligence to analyze shopper activity to remember that it's most important to analyze what shoppers actually do, not what they'll say they'll do. So we can look at technologies like machine vision and natural language processing to observe shoppers in their natural habitats, we might say, rather than inviting them to share feedback with the brand or retailer in a way that the shopper that might not be quite so valuable for the company. Then looking forward, as we see more and more blending between offline and offline purchasing, as well as online and offline data collection, brands should be preparing for a future of predictive, automated purchasing and more flexible retail models that are observing shoppers' behavior in real time in the offline world and setting up their supply chains to predict what shoppers will need based on that behavior. That's it for now. Thanks so much. Please feel free to reach out for any questions, and also feel free to sign up for my weekly newsletter, CPG Insights, where we'll be diving into all this information and more using CB Insights data. Thank you.